chapter 34, where we are seeing the boundaries of the land and the men that are chosen to portion it out for the tribes. So from verse 1, then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land of Canaan, this is the land that shall fall to you as an inheritance, the land of Canaan to its boundaries. And it follows through with the rest of the description for the land from the eastern side, the northern side, the southern side, the western side. And this land will be divided for 9 tribes and a half tribe. Remember, some are already settling on the east side of the Jordan. That is the tribe of Reuben and Gad and a family of Manasseh. In this description, we're seeing that Israel had to take the land of Canaan. God had promised to them, but they had to take it, and they would have to drive out the inhabitants. They'd have to destroy the pagan altars. With all of that, it had to be understood that it wasn't because of their military strength that they had received Canaan. From verse 17, these are the names of the men who shall divide the land among you as an inheritance. Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun. And you shall take one leader of every tribe to divide the land for the inheritance. And then he outlines the names for each tribe. So from the tribe of Judah, you have Caleb. You have from the tribe of Simeon, Shemuel. From the tribe of Benjamin, Eldad. From the tribe of Dan, Buki. From the sons of Joseph, for the tribe of Manasseh, Haniel. And from the tribe of Ephraim, Kemuel. From the tribe of Zebulun, you have Eliphaz. From the tribe of Issachar, Paltiel. From the tribe of Asher, Ahihud. And from the tribe of Naphtali, Pedahel. These were the individuals who were responsible for dividing up the land into the portions for the different tribes. In the dividing of the land, God gives specific instructions for cities for Levites and cities of refuge. Both are needed because, remember, first of all, the Levites did not get an inheritance of land, but they have to live somewhere. And cities of refuge for those people who find themselves in danger. So let's go to chapter 35. I'm going to read from verse 1. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, saying, command the children of Israel that they may give the Levites cities to dwell in from the inheritance of their possession. And you shall also give the Levites common land around the cities. They shall have the cities to dwell in, and their common land shall be for their cattle, for their herds, and for all their animals. So the Lord designates specific areas to be cities for the Levites. And it's so strategic because where the cities are located, the Levites would end up dwelling in the midst of their people. So they would be sprinkled in different places among the different tribes. So the provision of the cities and the common land was important for the Levites, and it didn't contradict the principle that they could not have an inheritance. The only inheritance would be from the Lord. They had to have a place where they could actually live, and the place that was designated for the cities for the Levites and the common land made up 0.1% of the land of Canaan. Going to the cities of refuge, these are places where those who committed manslaughter could run to until their case was tried. So from verse 6, now among the cities which you will give to the Levites, you shall appoint 6 cities of refuge, to which a manslayer may flee. And to these you shall add 42 cities. So all the cities you will give to the Levites shall be 48. These you shall give with their common land. According to the instruction of the Lord, these cities were for individuals, both the stranger and the Israelites, who killed a person accidentally. The people would be able to flee there, and they would be protected until they stood before the congregation in judgment. In the chapter, it outlines who is eligible to go to these places. So if you strike someone with an iron implement so that he dies, you're a murderer, and that murderer shall be put to death. If you strike someone with a stone in hand, by which one could die, and the person does die, then you're a murderer and you will be put to death. If you strike someone with a wooden hand weapon by which one could die, and the person does die, that's a consequence of their action, that person's a murderer, and the murderer shall be put to death. The avenger of blood shall put the murderer to death. When he meets him, he shall put him to death. So this is how this works. It continues. If you push someone out of hatred while lying in wait, or you hurl something at someone so that he dies, or in enmity, you strike someone with your hand so that the person dies, the one who struck him shall surely be put to death. He is a murderer. So we're looking here at premeditation. We're looking at those individuals who carry out a course of action that could kill someone. They are responsible for their actions. They're a murderer and they will be put to death. But if someone pushes another person without enmity, right? There's no hatred in their heart, or throw something at him without lying in wait, so you're not planning it, or if they use a stone by which a man could die, throwing it at him without seeing the person, and so that he dies, while he was not his enemy or seeking his harm, then the congregation shall judge between the manslayer and the avenger of blood according to these judgments. And from verse 25, so the congregation shall deliver the manslayer from the hand of the avenger of blood, and the congregation shall return him to the city of refuge where he had fled, and he shall remain there until the death of the high priest who was anointed with the holy oil. So this is for a person who ends up killing someone unintentionally. And when they see what they have done, they run to one of these cities of refuge. Now, when they're brought before the congregation, and after the congregation judged between him and the avenger of blood, then that person is returned to the city of refuge and has to stay there until the high priest dies. After the high priest dies, then they're able to come back into their community. So in the allocation of land, there are to be 6 cities of asylum, 3 on each side of the Jordan River. And so that would cover the northern part, the central part, and the southern part. And people would need to know where they are. So if anything happens, they can flee to one of these cities. And in all of this, God is teaching them how to treat one another justly. And in verse 33, it says, so ye shall not pollute the land where you are, for blood defiles the land, and no atonement can be made for the land, for the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of him who shed it. Therefore, do not defile the land which you inhabit, in the midst of which I dwell, for I, the Lord, dwell among the children of Israel. God is clear that their behavior will either honor God or defile their land. And this brings us to the last chapter, which is chapter 36. Now, in this chapter, it references the resolution that God gave to Moses to give to the daughters of Zelophehad. They were part of the tribe of Manasseh. And so now that they're going into Canaan, there's going to be allotment of land. These daughters are going to get a parcel of land. So the chief goes to Moses and says that this is going to cause a problem, because if one of these daughters marries someone, that allotment of land that they have will now be passed to their husband's tribe. So what shall they do? Now, if they are married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then their inheritance will be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and it will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry. So we'll be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the jubilee of the children of Israel comes, then their inheritance will be added to the inheritance of the tribe into which they marry. So their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers. So these men asked Moses for his wisdom, because the land will transfer hands. But each tribe is supposed to keep their own land. They're not supposed to be transferring portions to other tribes. So Moses responds that the chiefs that brought this issue to him, they're correct in their evaluation. And this is what the Lord commands. Let them marry whom they think best, but they may marry only within the family of their father's tribe. So the inheritance of the children of Israel should not change hands from tribe to tribe, for every one of the children of Israel shall keep the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. And every daughter who possesses an inheritance in any tribe of the children of Israel shall be the wife of one of the family of her father's tribe, so that the children of Israel each may possess the inheritance of his fathers. Thus, no inheritance shall change hands from one tribe to another, but every tribe of the children of Israel shall keep its own inheritance. So there you go. There's the solution. The women, they can keep their inheritance, but they just have to marry within their father's tribe. And the tribes were big enough for them not to marry their brothers, okay? So this issue is resolved. And it shows us too that there are different issues that they're going to face, and they're going to need the wisdom of God as to how to move forward in such a way that honors God's laws and his precepts. And I'm going to wrap up with this final verse. These are the commandments and the judgments which the Lord commanded the children of Israel by the hand of Moses in the plains of Moab, by the Jordan, across from Jericho. The Lord has given the commandments, He has made the judgments, and He has released to the new generation how they are to remember Him, how they are to recall their history, and also how they are to operate as they get into the promised land. They are just across from Jericho. So we have arrived at the ending of this session, at the ending of the book of Numbers, and we have learned a lot. Who are the main figures that we see? We see Moses, who is the leader that God has ordained. He is the one who is God's spokesperson and relaying the instructions of Lord to the people. We also see Eleazar, who is the high priest because Aaron has passed on, and Joshua, who is already delegated to be the next leader. We also see the people of Israel, but this time the focus is on the new generation. What are the main themes that we see in this section? Well, we see the theme of rebellion. It is something that is not only in this video, but in all the videos I've done in the book of Numbers. What happens when you disobey God and you rebel against His commandment? Nothing good comes out of it. There's the judgment of the Lord that has to be passed because He is a just and right and holy God. We also see the theme of intercession and mercy. Moses and Aaron, when he was alive, continually interceding for the people of God. Moses' heart is continually for the people. He continues to stand in the gap for them. And definitely the theme of obedience we see. When you obey God, there is blessing. And that is important for us to know, because as we go into the book of Deuteronomy, God gives the people the choice. He sets before them life and death, blessing and cursing, but it is up to them to choose the right thing, to choose life, to choose blessing, and all of that is connected to obedience. So thank you for staying with me today. Yes, there was a lot of information that came out. We learned a lot about the children of Israel, and we are positioned to see what happens in Deuteronomy. All right, so I hope you're subscribed to our channel. I hope that you're sharing the videos. Let's get the word out there that there is victory in the word of God, and that as we learn more about the history of God's people, we also set ourselves up to walk in further obedience to the Lord. So God bless you as you go, and looking forward to seeing you next week.